Hello everyone, and welcome to part 1 of What If Shatter and Dropkick were in Transformers Prime. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So we start this part off with Cliffjumper, as he's shot, and turns around to see two Decepticons who introduce themselves as Shatter and Dropkick. We are here on this planet to hunt down every single member of the Autobot resistance. And once we're done with you, we will find your Autobot comrades and end this.
Enough talking, Shatter. Let's do this.
Dropkick then shoots at Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper fires back. Shatter then runs at Cliffjumper and uppercuts him, causing his horn to go off. Cliffjumper then says, "You want the horns? You got him." The Nemesis then flies into view, and Starscream orders Shatter and Dropkick to bring Cliffjumper to him. Shatter is then like, "Ugh, at once, Starscream," but tells Dropkick, "Let's finish him here." And Dropkick says,
"But Starscream ordered."
Starscream is weak. He must not be the one to exterminate this Autobot when we could easily do such a job.
Fine. Dropkick then says, "I've been itching for a kill anyway."
Team Prime then arrive. Ah yes, there they are. Dropkick then says, "Oh yeah, it's go time." Cliffjumper then gets back up, pretty wounded, but he is good, and unites with Team Prime, and they begin to charge at Shatter and Dropkick. And Shatter and Dropkick are ready for a fight. But Starscream overcomes. "Shatter, Dropkick, retreat at once. You will not survive this. You know I'm right. We now know they are truly on this planet. We must await Megatron's word, or risk termination." The warship then begins to leave the location. Shatter and Dropkick hesitate, but they then retreat, following the warship. Cliffjumper is wounded, and he is transferred to base. RC helps him up and takes him to base. "Let's go home, partner." Shatter and Dropkick return to Starscream on the brig of the Nemesis warship. "If you two had followed my orders and brought me Cliffjumper, then we would have been rid of another Autobot. But no, you disobeyed, and now the Autobots remain strong as ever." Shatter then says, "Well, maybe if you did your job right as our commander and assisted us, then we would have been rid of all Autobots on this planet. But no, you were cowardice as ever."
Yeah, look at us. We have a warship, an army, and all the Autobots have is a squadron. But you chose to run away instead of fight. What type of commander are you? Grr.
RC still chooses to go on patrol and meets Jack, Raph, and Miko, and still brings them to base just like in canon, where they meet Optimus. He explains everything to them about Decepticons and Autobots. And Miko actually gets to talking to both Cliffjumper and Bulkhead, instead of just Bulkhead. And both of them begin to be like guardians to her. Soon enough, Soundwave walks up to Starscream and says he has picked up a long-range signal and to activate the ground bridge. And then we see Megatron return. He meets up with Shatter, Dropkick, and Starscream down in the mines, then introduces Dark Energon. He then says, "Will one of you three be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice?" The three then look at each other in fear, but Dropkick says, "Nah, I got an idea." And he brings a Decepticon drone and kills him right in front of them. There you go. Megatron then injects the Dark Energon into the Decepticon drone. The Vehicon comes to life and goes mad and starts attacking everybody, and soon turns its attention to the 4 Decepticons. But Megatron swiftly kills it. And if you're wondering, no, the Autobots do not go into this mine because they have no need, because they don't locate Cliffjumper, and the only way they found that mine is when they locate Cliffjumper. So Cliffjumper's alive. So yeah. Megatron still decides to use the Dark Energon, just like in canon. Megatron leaves and actually decides to leave Shatter in charge instead of Starscream because he knows how Starscream could get, and Shatter's slightly more loyal. And Optimus and Ratchet still make their way to fight Megatron in the undead graveyard. Soon enough, Agent Fowler still sends a communication out that he's en route to the Autobot base, and it's picked up by Soundwave, which they then go to apprehend him. We still get that moment where Bulkhead goes in and tries to get Agent Fowler, but with Miko coming in as well. So we still get that whole moment. Shatter and Dropkick are interrogating Agent Fowler. Tell us the location of the Autobot base, Shatter says. Or else. And then Dropkick tases Agent Fowler. And Agent Fowler says something here that might actually give it away. That whole part happens where Jack and Raph still arrive. And Cliffjumper, Bumblebee, and RC then arrive soon after. And the Autobots pull off a pretty strategic move to get Fowler out of there. RC's still up in the vents just like in canon, aiming her guns down at Shatter and Dropkick. RC and Bumblebee come into the door, aim their weapons, but Starscream comes behind Bulkhead and Bumblebee with his weapons, and Cliffjumper comes behind Starscream with his weapons. And Shatter gives a nod to the two Decepticons, and they do something in a strategic move that will allow them to retrieve Agent Fowler, and the three retreat. And the Autobots successfully get Agent Fowler out of there. Megatron still punishes Starscream.
I left Shatter in charge, not you, and your mindless agendas put a delay to my plans. But to make sure things never get out of control again,
Megatron looks to Shatter. You are this warship's new commander.
Do not fail me, Shatter.
The warship soon enough starts making its way towards the Decepticon space bridge to bring forward Megatron's conquering army. And Team Prime stays there, weapons aimed, awaiting the Decepticons to make their move. Megatron then orders a squadron of Vehicons to crush them. And the Vehicons move in. But Team Prime makes quick work of this Vehicon squadron. The space bridge is then activated, with Megatron bringing out the Dark Energon and throwing it through. Optimus orders the Autobots to take their position and follow Ratchet's lead. Cliffjumper then says, I'm staying to fight beside you, Optimus. You're not doing this alone. Not under my watch. Optimus then says, your bravery to defend this world will be remembered, my friend. Remember that quote that he just said, everyone. That's a surprise tool that can help us later. Shatter, Dropkick, and Megatron then come down to confront the Autobots. Dropkick then right away runs at Optimus. But Cliffjumper is there and he does not allow this, so he shoots Dropkick, which then causes Shatter to run at him, which then causes the three to get into a fight. We nearly killed you once, Autobot. We can do it again. Oh no, not this time. You may have gotten me by surprise, but this time, things are much different. Cliffjumper then takes out some swords. Yes, I'm giving him swords, and we never saw him use swords in canon. But he's living here, so yeah. Optimus and Megatron also begin to fight things out. Bumblebee, Bulkhead, and RC then are located by Starscream underneath the space bridge, and Starscream informs Megatron. Megatron then flies towards the Autobots. And Dropkick is one to distract Optimus, but Optimus easily takes him down. Not killing him, but just throws him down. And RC is shot at. And the Decepticon space bridge begins to overload, with Shatter and Dropkick immediately realizing and transforming and retreating. Cliffjumper and Optimus retreat as well as the other Autobots, with B taking RC's body. Starscream then convinces Megatron to retreat that it's not worth it. However, just like in canon, Megatron does not listen, and is ultimately destroyed along with the space bridge. Meanwhile, back at the Autobot base, RC is alive. Everyone is happy. Even Cliffjumper has a smile. Before we cut to Starscream, who appoints himself as the new Decepticon leader. Shatter testifies, I am most fit to lead. Starscream then says, if you do not accept me as your leader, you are free to leave, or else stay here and be exterminated. Dropkick then looks at Shatter, and Shatter says, let's go, Dropkick. Meanwhile, the two walk around on Earth, thinking what to do next. Dropkick says, what do we do? The Decepticons are idiots. They follow Starscream, that coward, instead of serving us. We need to find troops of our own in order to even the odds. But we need some sort of power to even the scales. Shatter then says, yes, troops are a definite must. But as for something that could tip the scales of power, I think I have an idea. She then whips out a shard of Dark Energon. Dropkick then says, wait, where and how did you get that? I took a piece of it, of where Megatron had it stored on the Nemesis before he threw it into the space bridge. Now, let us set out and make our army and achieve our plans. They then set out to enact their plans. And that's where I'm going to leave it off here, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed part 1, and I'll see you guys in part 2.